Randy Orton's WWE return has just been confirmed, so we'll see what that could lead towards. We'll also take a look at what's new for Jey Uso, the Judgment Day, and much more. Starting things off with the Judgment Day, it's been a roller coaster of a few months for the Judgment Day in WWE. There was a point a few months ago where they did have all the gold on Raw, outside of the Intercontinental and World Heavyweight Championships. They were going strong until it seemed like they were right on the verge of losing everything. Dominic Mysterio had lost the North American Championship. Damian and Finn had lost the Undisputed Tag Team titles, and things just looked like they were absolutely plummeting for the Judgment Day. But thankfully for their sake, that rough spot didn't last at all. Damian, Finn, and Dominic all got their respective titles back just a few days after first losing them. So what appeared to be the downfall of the Judgment Day quickly discontinued and got right back on track. And things have been going pretty well for them since their titles got back. But it looks like the downfall of the Judgment Day is once again being teased, but in a completely different fashion unrelated to their titles this time around. As we've been seeing going on for nearly 3 weeks now, Damian Priest has all of a sudden put his foot down and declared himself as the leader of the Judgment Day. And we spoke last week about how Rhea and Dominic were basically trying to outdo each other as the leader of the group. Damian Priest brought in JD McDonough without talking things over with the rest of the group. And Rhea Ripley brought in Drew McIntyre without talking things over with the rest of the group. So they both pulled the exact same move off the week prior. But during this week's segment, Damian Priest gets very confrontational with Rhea Ripley about how she didn't come to him, the leader, about bringing in Drew McIntyre to the War Games team. And you can tell that all Damian's boasting about being the leader of the Judgment Day did appear to bother Rhea Ripley, but she danced around the topic for the most part. Damian Priest also wanted to take part in the War Games Advantage match, but Rhea Ripley said that they'll wait to talk things over with Drew McIntyre. So once again, the power struggle is in full effect here. Ever since Edge got kicked out, Judgment Day members were terrified to confirm that any of them were the leader, saying how they all ruled together as equals. But that long-time established unwritten rule of the Judgment Day has abruptly left Damian Priest's brain, and he's telling Judgment Day members right to their face that he's the leader, which could only lead towards more trouble here. Last time someone bragged about being the leader and fully in control of the group's identity, that was Edge, and he was brutally overthrown for that same exact reason. We saw what happened to him. The group just didn't want a tyrant leader being in full control of everyone's destiny within the group. And just a little over a year and a half after Edge was kicked out for being like that, Damian Priest is quickly becoming the same sort of person. It would be different if there was a group meeting or a little election within the Judgment Day to pick the leader. If they were to do that and Damian Priest won the group election, then obviously there's no debating that. But Damian Priest has forcefully declared himself as the leader out of nowhere. And even though he's the most eldest member of the group, it's still extremely wrong for him to do that. So it looks like we have this full battle of control and power going on right now within the group between Rhea and Damian. It looks like they're purposely not being on the same page with each other just to try to flex their leadership over the group and over each other. Just like what we saw right there with that conversation, Damian wants to put himself in the advantage match, but Rhea has basically overruled him and says that they'll wait to talk with Drew McIntyre. So, despite them still having all the gold within this moment of time, the Judgment Day has a massive issue brewing with how Damian Priest has forcefully taken control of the group. When it comes to leadership of the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio basically have no shot of holding that position. A lot of fans do think it's pretty strange that Finn Balor doesn't have more of a say in the leadership battle, because he has a long history of leading big factions, and he did win a WWE World Championship. So fans feel like Finn Balor should be speaking out more and maybe even trying to pull the group his way, since he does have the accolades to back up being the leader of the Judgment Day. So we'll have to see if Finn Balor even makes a push to grab control of the group, But for now, the main battle is between Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. And the Judgment Day's plummet should really pick up at Survivor Series, since Cody's team is the favorite to win the War Games match. So, the finish of the War Games should definitely lead us in the direction of the Judgment Day being completely disconnected, and everyone being on separate pages within the group. Everyone still expects the endgame to be Damian Priest getting kicked out of the Judgment Day, since he's slowly becoming what Edge was back in the group in 2022. So it's only a matter of time before the group tosses him out if he keeps up this behavior going in a similar fashion. And as far as things go with Drew McIntyre, he is really setting everything straight on the November 20th edition of Raw. Drew McIntyre said that he has not changed, he's still the same person, and that he hasn't joined the Judgment Day, he's just aligning with them temporarily, because of how much he despises Jey Uso. Drew even said this same sort of thing during his backstage meeting with the Judgment Day. He told them right to their faces that he couldn't stand any of them, but that his hate for Jey Uso is much larger and that's why he picked them. And speaking of Jey Uso, lots of interesting things could be coming up for him. Obviously, Jey has got himself into a lot of hot water with everyone during his time as Roman's right-hand man in the Bloodline. Now, some people forgave Jey Uso and looked past his Bloodline actions, but we've also seen people hold on to that grudge and hatred for Jey Uso, like with Drew McIntyre. Drew just can't let it go, and his hatred for Jey Uso isn't dying down at all. Well, the trouble doesn't stop there at all for Jey Uso. Randy Orton was called up by Cody Rhodes to join their War Games team, and he accepted the offer. And right when Cody made the announcement, the camera panned to Jey Uso for half a second, who looked completely uncertain and wasn't hyped about Randy joining them at all. Reason being that Jey Uso and the Bloodline were responsible for taking Randy Orton out of action this entire time, with their attack on him back in May 2022. So Jey isn't excited because he isn't sure if Randy will forgive him, or if he'll hold that grudge against him in the same way that Drew McIntyre does. The entire situation there sets up a very interesting dynamic for Randy Orton's first night back with WWE. Will he put those differences with Jey Uso to the side for the night? Or will he find a way to get back at Jey Uso, probably even during War Games itself? Maybe even drop Jey Uso with an RKO during the match. And if something like that does break out amongst Cody's team, they'll have to overcome it fast because the Judgment Day will obviously be looking to take advantage of that. So it's definitely an interesting question. With this Jey Uso situation hanging above the group's head, will Randy Orton help or hurt the odds at Survivor Series? But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.